Hey there, fellow Helldivers! It's your favorite GamerDads back at it again with some exciting news. Helldivers 2 just dropped a massive update that's sure to shake things up on the battlefield. We're talking balancing changes, hidden updates, and everything in between. Now, if you're a fan of the Slugger, brace yourself because it's getting a bit of a nerf. But don't worry, it's all in the name of fair play. On the flip side, the Anti-Materiel Sniper Rifle is getting a nice little buff. So all you sharpshooters out there, get ready to dominate. But that's not all, folks. In true Arrowhead style, they've snuck in some sneaky changes that added new Automaton units to keep us on our toes. You know we love a good surprise. So get ready because in this video, we're diving deep into all the juicy details of this patch. And trust us, there's a lot to unpack. Now before we get into the nitty-gritty, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified whenever we drop a new video. You won't want to miss a single update on this wild ride. All right, Helldivers, let's lock and load and get right into these patch notes. It's time to talk shop. 2 brand new planetary hazards have been added to the game, and they sound intense. First up, we've got the blizzard hazard for those icy maps. Now, we haven't seen any frozen maps in action yet, but if I had to guess, this hazard will probably limit our visibility and slow our movement down to a crawl. And who knows, it might even mess with our heat-based weapons, either preventing them from heating up at all or dragging out the charge time. We've also got the sandstorm hazard, which is likely to pop up on those sandy desert maps. Again, we haven't seen any of these maps yet, but I'm betting this hazard will have us squinting through the storm, trying to make out our enemies. And if we're really unlucky, it might even chip away at our health with some sneaky dot damage. Now let's talk about player levels. The cap has been bumped up to a whopping 150. And get this, if you were already at level 50 and kept on grinding, all that extra XP you earned has been counted. So when you boot up Helldivers 2, you might just find yourself at a much higher level. In fact, I've seen some hardcore players on Reddit and Discord hitting levels above 100 already. Mad respect to those dedicated Helldivers out there. And of course, we've got some shiny new titles to show off our hard-earned levels. But enough about that. Let's get to the real meat of this update, the balancing changes. This is where things get really interesting. So let's dive in and see what's in store for us, shall we? First up, the Retrieve Essential Personnel mission has been given a bit of a nerf, but in a good way. The devs have decided to make it a little easier by requiring fewer civilians to complete the mission. And get this, the bot drops and bug breaches will now spawn further away from the main base, giving us a bit more breathing room to defend. It's like they read our minds. But hold up, the devs giveth and the devs taketh away. The destroy, command, bunker missions have been deemed too easy, so they've gone ahead and added more objective locations. I guess they really want to keep us on our toes, huh? Now here's a change that's sure to make some of you happy. Those pesky negative effects from Operation Modifiers that increase stratagem cooldowns or call-in times? Yeah, they've been slashed in half. Hallelujah! But brace yourselves, Arc Thrower fans, because this one's gonna sting. The most effective support weapon against bugs has taken a serious hit. No more half-charging shots for quick damage bursts. Now you've got to charge it up all the way for each and every shot. Sure, they've increased its stagger, but I'm not sure if that's enough to make up for the DPS loss. Oh, and did I mention they've decreased its range too? I mean, the Arc Thrower was already pretty inconsistent at long ranges, but who knows how this will play out. On a brighter note, the regular guard dog got a little love tap. It now fully restores ammo from supply boxes, which is a nice little buff. The Anti-Materiel Sniper Rifle got a whopping 30% damage increase. For those of you who didn't know, this baby was already a beast when it came to taking down automatons. With this buff, it might just dethrone the autocannon as the go-to choice for automaton hunting. Only time will tell, but I've got a feeling AMR users are going to be very, very happy with this update. The Slugger has been hit with the nerf hammer, and it's not looking pretty. Both its stagger and damage have been decreased, which is a real kick in the teeth, considering those were the things that made the Slugger so darn good in the first place. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a mass exodus of Slugger users flocking to the Punisher shotgun for their stagger fix. But it's not all doom and gloom. The Recoilless rifle and the Spear are getting a little ammo boost, now recovering an extra shell from supply boxes. Hey, every little bit helps, right? Now, I'm a bit puzzled by the heavy machine gun changes. They've decreased its fire rate mode, but I'm not entirely sure what the end goal is here. I mean, sure, the HMG performs best at lower fire rates, but is this tweak really going to make a difference? Color me skeptical. Moving on to the enemy changes, the Chargers have had their normal melee attack damage against exosuits reduced. I guess even those little ankle biters need to be taken down a peg sometimes. And for all you folks who have been on the receiving end of a Bile Spear or Nursing Spear's puke attack, I've got some potentially good news. Their puke damage has been decreased, which is a pretty big deal considering how quickly they could melt you before. I'm definitely curious to see just how much of a difference this makes in practice. The Bile Titan can no longer be stunned. That's a bit of a shame, which is a real bummer for stun grenade users who love setting up those easy orbital precision strikes or 500 kilobomb hits. I guess we'll just have to get a little more creative with our Bile Titan takedowns from now on. Let's talk about the Shrieker changes. These little devils have been a real thorn in our side since they were introduced, often forcing players to deal with their nests from a safe distance to avoid the inevitable deaths and bug breaches that came with getting too close. But now Shriekers will no longer create bug breaches, and their ragdolls are dealing far less damage. This is a very welcome change in my book, as it should make dealing with Shriekers a bit less of a headache. Now, here's a change that's been a long time coming. Improvements to medium and heavy armor. The devs have reduced the damage we take while wearing medium armor by an extra 5%, and heavy armor by an extra 10%. This is definitely a step in the right direction, but I still think there's room for improvement. Personally, I'd love to see some flinching resistance added to the heavier armors to make getting shot at a little less jarring, but hey, I'll take what I can get for now. Moving on to the fixes, there's quite a list here, but let's focus on the gameplay-related ones. It looks like there have been some indirect nerfs to the Devastators, particularly the Rocket Devastator. Apparently, there was a bug that caused the Helldiver in the exosuit to sometimes take explosion damage multiple times, which made things like Automaton rockets way more deadly than they should have been. But now that bug has been squashed, which should potentially reduce the overall damage we take from rocket devastators and other rocket-based attacks. Hopefully, this will make dealing with automatons a bit less of a frustrating experience. So it looks like the automaton enemy constellations are getting a bit of a shakeup. Apparently, the system that was supposed to spawn more of certain devastator types wasn't working as intended, but now it's been fixed. This means that when we're up against the automatons, we might face more devastators in general, rather than a mix of other enemy types. Fingers crossed that we don't end up drowning in heavy devastators and rocket devastators, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. In other news, the devs have made some tweaks to the Hellpod Steering. Hopefully, this means we can say goodbye to that infuriating glitch that sent our pods careening in the wrong direction. I know I've had my fair share of Hellpod mishaps, so I'm really looking forward to seeing if these changes make a noticeable difference. Last but not least, the Ballistic shield has gotten a bit of love. The changes seem to be focused on reducing our exposure while using the shield, which should lead to better protection against both automatons and bugs. But as with all these changes, the proof is in the pudding. We'll need to get out there and put the shielder through its paces to see just how much of an improvement we're looking at. And that about wraps it up for the official patch notes. But as we all know, Helldivers 2 updates always come with a few hidden surprises. Before we dive into those, I want to know what you guys think about these secret changes. Do you prefer having them spelled out in the patch notes? Or do you enjoy the thrill of discovering them for yourself as you play? Let me know down in the comments. Now on to the juicy stuff, the hidden changes. We might not have caught them all, but I've been scouring the internet for every scrap of information I could find. One cool little addition is that our Helldivers now return from missions covered in the blood of their fallen foes, and they stay that way as they strut around the ship. It's a small touch, but it really adds to the immersion, don't you think? Introducing the gunships, which are linked to the gunship factory's side objective. These flying menaces are essentially dropships equipped with some serious firepower. Now, I haven't had the chance to face them head-on yet, but you better believe I'll be diving deep into their weaknesses and finding the best ways for us Helldivers to take them down and send them back to the scrapyard where they belong. But that's not all. There's an even bigger threat looming on the horizon. Introducing the Factory Strider, a massive bot that's almost as big as a Bile Titan. Word on the street is that these behemoths only show up on the highest difficulties. I don't know about you, but I'm itching to put my skills to the test against these new titans of the battlefield. And with that, we've covered all the major changes in this update, both the ones straight from the patch notes and the sneaky hidden ones that you eagle-eyed Helldivers have spotted out in the wild. But you know me, I can't just sit here and talk about these changes all day. It's time to lock and load and see how they all shake out in the heat of battle. Thank you all so much for tuning in and joining me on this wild ride through the latest Helldivers 2 update. I couldn't do this without your support and all the incredible intel you share with the community. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the GamerDads channel for more exciting content. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the update, so leave a comment down below and let us know what you think about the changes and how they'll impact your playstyle. We've got plenty more Helldivers 2 content in the pipeline, so stay tuned for our upcoming videos where we'll put these updates to the test and share our findings with you. Until next time, keep spreading democracy, watch your fellow Helldivers' backs, and most importantly, happy gaming. This is GamerDads, signing off.